Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Base Hit Ball 4. My name is Glenn Negris, joined alongside, as always, Tyler Blumenstake, Scott Roswald, and Alex Cashman. We've discussed the NL West and NL Central. We're going to put the NL East on the back burner until the last show before opening day. So we're going to head out to the AL West. Last year, there were two teams that made the playoffs from the AL West. The Oakland Athletics won the division. The Houston Astros, Cash, do you have anything to say about them?
Cheat.
They cheated. They made the playoffs as a wild card, under 500.
Because I didn't cheat.
The Astros beat the A's in the division series, went to the ALCS for the fourth year in a row, I think. Something like that. 17, 18, 19, fourth year in a row, and lost in 7 games to the Tampa Bay Rays. Both teams come into 2020 losing people. The Astros lost their center fielder, George Springer, and they lost Justin Verlander for probably the entire year because he needs Tommy John that he got late last year. The A's lost their shortstop, Marcus Semien. They lost their closer, Liam Hendricks, to the Chicago White Sox. So similarly to the NL Central, it's one of those divisions that somebody's going to have to win. There's other teams out there that haven't made a push for the playoffs that could. Now that the top two teams have taken a little bit of a step back, the Angels, we'll see what they can do. We'll see if they can get enough pitching. The Mariners are a team that's young, on the rise, but we're not sure if they're there yet. And then obviously the Texas Rangers seem to be, stuck in the middle between contending and rebuilding. So start off with the division champion Oakland Athletics. This is a team over the last decade and a half, kind of like the Twins. They're in October a lot. They had the movie made about them. They make the playoffs a lot. It's always winning that round.
Greatest cinematic masterpiece of all time.
They're always in the playoffs, but when it comes to winning that round, it's always seemed to be elusive to them. They can never really get over the hump. Last year, they really had a team that you thought would make it to the ALCS because they beat the White Sox in the wild card series in 3 games. They matched up against a Houston team that they took care of in the regular season, and a Houston team that wasn't really good and really didn't deserve to make the playoffs. You thought they would find themselves in the ALCS, and maybe this is the year that Billy Beane finally does it. And then it came crashing down. They lost to the Astros in 4. Now in the offseason, we know the financial constraints that the Oakland Athletics deal with from a year-to-year basis. They lose the top reliever on the market. They lose a very quality shortstop to the Toronto Blue Jays. And now you're looking at the A's, they always find themselves there at the end of the year, but by no means are they a contender, in my opinion, as we speak right now on March 16th, to challenge the Yankees and the White Sox and maybe the Blue Jays.
Yeah, especially since the subtractions are the big key there. In Semien, who came in 3rd place in the MVP in 2019, and then losing Liam Hendricks, the best closer probably in baseball, to the White Sox. They're worse than they were last year, so they're probably still the best team in the division, but they're obviously worse. And in that postseason against the Astros last year, what let them down was their pitching, and that's what they're mainly known for, is being a good pitching team, having a good bullpen, and they didn't do that in the postseason last year. So yeah, definitely worse than they were last year.
Well, I mean, I've said it, 100 times, and I'm going to continue to say it until someone decides to listen to me, is that analytics will only take you so far, right? So analytics, you can get to the playoffs using just analytics, and that's obviously what Billy Beane and the Athletics do. The whole movie Moneyball was about that exact thing, how they brought analytics to baseball. And however accurate you want to think that movie is, whatever, but they use analytics to the nth degree, and analytics will only take you as far as it'll take you, as the Athletics continue to prove. But there's some form of human element to the game that needs to be taken into consideration, and teams are hopefully starting to realize that. I don't know, but with that being said, the Athletics probably will win the division, but I don't see them making it any further than that.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I don't want to harp on it way too much. I just feel like this division, there are many teams taking steps forward. Maybe not many teams, but there are teams taking steps forward, whether that's in different degrees, like the Angels, whose floor starts a little bit higher, or the Mariners, who are still taking a step forward, but their floor obviously a little bit lower. I don't know. If you're subtracting, you can get by in this league. I mean, in this division, rather, because the Astros aren't as good as they were, but yeah, I still don't think the Athletics are really. I don't know. They're probably second place in this division, if I had to guess, maybe third.
Okay, interesting.
But we'll talk about the rest. I don't want to give up way too much now.
Yeah, and so like the two main subtractions in Semien and Hendricks, they go out and they replace them with Elvis Andrews, who's on the back end of his career now, and Trevor Rosenthal, who
Forgot
had
about Angels.
who had a nice year with the Padres last year, but he hasn't been the most reliant back end of the bullpen guy. So the two main subtractions, they got worse at those two positions that they were trying to replace. I don't know how about you guys feel about like Matt Olson and Matt Chapman. Probably I like them a lot. Probably two of the best corner infielders defensively in all of baseball. Both still leave a lot to be wanted at the plate. They have a lot of power, but their average is usually on the lower end. They definitely missed Chapman at the end of last season when he got hurt. They have some pieces there. I'm interested to hear why Ty thinks they're the third best team in the division moving forwards, because I still think they're the favorite.
You want me to give
If
it to
you
you
look
now, or
at
you
their
want? Wait.
If you look at their rotations, it's gonna be led by Minaya, Fires,
I think you're gonna wait.
Luzardo, Bassett. I'm not sure that that's a rotation. It might get you through the AL West because this is a division that's not going to have a premier ace. Like really, none of these teams have a premier ace because Verlander's going to be out. Texas Texas had Kluber for one start last year, and that was it. The Mariners and Angels, historically have never been able to have pitching. So that might be a rotation that's just good enough to get them through the division. Now, will they be able to hold down the teams that they might face in October? I don't think so, but you're looking at their rotation, how it could be good enough over the course of 162 in that division. And you look at the guys in their lineup. Yeah, you mentioned Olson and Chapman, who are going to put home runs on the board. You got a guy like Steven Piscotty, Ramon Laureano. They have some guys that can swing the bat. So I too am curious to see who Stick would have above Oakland in this division.
I mean, I'll just touch on their pitching because that's really something that is a question mark for me, and it's a question mark, like you just mentioned, around the entire division. I would still say the Astros probably hold the edge there in pitching. I mean, young pitching, they still have Greinke, Verlander obviously on the shelf. But, I mean, you look at like Luzardo and Minaya. These are guys that got a lot of hype right when they first came up, and two big left-handed guys that, I mean, could be the 1-2 in that rotation going forward. And they kind of showed what they had. They showed their potential in the beginning and then now have regressed. And we haven't really seen consistency out of them. So I feel like that they can struggle with. Mike Fiers is just that consistent guy. Same thing with Bassett. And they added Mike Minor. So I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a respectable major league rotation, but I just feel like whenever I watch Oakland A's games on the West Coast, I just picture, like, in my head, I can't get it out. It's like the 8th inning tie game against the Angels in the Coliseum. And it's just like maybe 1-1, 0-0, 2-1. It's like, I don't know. It's not exciting. There's no pizzazz.
Yeah.
And like, that's just what they are.
Yeah,
They're
they don't
boring.
play an exciting brand of baseball.
Yeah.
One guy in their pitching staff who could have a big impact if he can stay healthy is AJ Puck. Big lefty out of the University of Florida, throws really hard, has a really good slider, but can't stay healthy. He's had a lot of shoulder and elbow problems. And same thing, like Manaya's had that as well. Like he's got a lot of potential as well, but he's got a lot of shoulder and elbow problems. But if Puck can stay healthy, I think he could be a huge weapon for them, either out of the bullpen or as a starter. He's mainly a starter, but if they want to, limit his innings, using him out of the bullpen, he could be a real threat there.
I have this question regarding Billy Bean. The movie was based on the 2002 season. So that's going on, 19 years now of him like at the helm of everything. How much longer is he going to wait? Because I'm sure he can get an offer for a team that has a higher payroll. How much longer do you think he has in him to continue to run it back and go with the same kind of philosophy that organization runs under?
Billy Bean has some. Tyler, I hate to cut you off. I'm sorry, but
I
Billy
mean,
Bean
you kind of
has,
got there first. I was going to cut you off technically if we're going to really get down to it.
Billy Bean has something that a lot of people in professional sports don't have, and that's loyalty. And that was showed at the end of the movie. Whatever the number was, I don't know how accurate the movie was in that aspect, but the Red Sox offered him a lot more money. They would have made him the highest paid general manager in baseball history, and he turned it down to stay with the Athletics. And that's something. So, Glenn, not to point a finger at you, but it's just people in general that it's underappreciated that the way you look at it is he's a great general manager. When's he going to go to a team with a higher payroll? I think he's looking at it. I have a job to do here. This is where I belong, and I'm going to do what I can to win here. So it's something that we give players a lot of shit for not having
Yeah, but
loyalty.
at what point is it?
What do we got?
What? You just stopped speaking, Glenn.
I don't know what's going
Go
on.
ahead.
I'll
You were speaking. So I stopped
going
talking
on
because
here?
you were
I'm
speaking.
so confused.
What just happened?
I have
Glenn,
no idea.
Did Glenn just get the
What?
yipped?
Glenn, what just happened?
I think he
No,
might have just
I
got
was
the yipped.
talking. I was
yeah,
talking.
you were talking.
That's
and then
the point.
Cash started talking, so I
No.
stopped.
I stopped because you were speaking.
Oh, then I'm on a delay, I guess. It
That's
is what
good.
it is.
Our host is on a delay.
But like, but at what point? Like, loyalty's all well and good, but at what point is it okay? This is year 19 now. It's just not going to work.
I would compare it to the Epstein situation right now, where, I mean, he kind of saw out his stars for maybe like 2 cycles. He's like, all right, we won the World Series. Now we're kind of going like down a little path where we either have, there's kind of a fork in the road. And then he decided to leave and take a job with Major League Baseball. I feel like if Billy Bean were to do that, he had his successful run with the Oakland Athletics right around the time the movie was made, then kind of mediocrity. Now they're kind of swinging right back into it. So I feel like if he just sees out like the Chapmans and the Olsons, if he were that type of guy, that would be probably the move and when he would take the jump. But like Cash said, I mean, I think it's about the loyalty to him. So, well, it's the same deal with Brian Cashman. Like, he's been there forever.
I do remember at the end of last season, there was some speculation that Billy Bean was getting ready to move on from the A's. I'm trying to do some research here. Doesn't look like he has left. There looks like at some point, one of his companies that he's involved with was looking to purchase a portion of the Red Sox. So going back to that connection that he already has. So I feel like if that happened, he would obviously have to move on from the A's. Just going off of, others, he does have like stakes in, soccer teams over in England. So I do think there is a point where he might say, like, I've had enough of this, like, time for me to go do something else. But he has been extremely loyal, and I think he's done a good job overall. His support is limited from ownership. They have a terrible stadium. They're not going to attract big time free agents there. So I think he's done a good job for what he's, been dealing with.
I don't think if he leaves after 20 years now, people are going to label him as unloyal.
Well,
I think he's done his.
It's not about what people label him. It's about what he labels as himself, right? And if he wants to stay with the Athletics because he loves Oakland, then I give him all the credit in the world. Like, stay. I think that it's fair. It's unfair for us to harp on these athletes all the time, how they're not loyal. I mean, like, for example, look what's going on in Deshaun Watson in Houston. He had signed a contract last year to stay with the Texans for 4 years, and now he's demanding out. And I think that's something that should be talked about more in sports, is the loyalty or the lack thereof. And this is something that we're not used to seeing. The likes of Derek Jeter, who stayed with the Yankees his whole career, or the Kobe Bryants or whatnot. It's something that the people growing up now watching LeBron switch to his third team, or Kevin Durant's on his third team, like stuff like that is what people are getting used to. But Billy Bean's an old school dude. I don't see him going anywhere.
And I just think it's interesting. I just feel like if you're Billy Bean, of course you love Oakland, but if your, I guess, end goal before you retire from baseball is to win a ring, I think there's a lot of teams elsewhere that will make you better equipped to get that ring than Oakland. That doesn't mean you hate Oakland or you're turning your back on Oakland. It's just, everything does come to an end. And I feel like it's been 20 years. So Billy Bean is clearly he's closer to the end of his run than the beginning. So just something to think about. Also, Oakland, they never keep guys. They're kind of like the Colorado Rockies. They always seem to have this turnover of the roster. Every time they have a big star, they seem to trade them. Matt Holliday they got and they traded. Who else am I thinking of? Chris Davis they traded him.
Cespedes.
Just there's a bunch. Cespedes. They always seem
You
to
could
get
compare it
rid
to
of
a Rays
guys
kind of
last year.
situation.
Yeah, I'd say they're even
Yeah.
more like the Rays than the Rockies.
So I think Oakland has another year or two left in them, but they're not going to re-sign Chapman. Chapman's probably going to leave. So you're just going to keep every 3 or 4 years having these roster turnovers and going from, the top of the division and then back down and never really making that next step to competing for World Series. So we'll see what happens with Oakland in 2021. Astros,
Cheaters.
under 500 last year, just a miserable year for them. They're lucky that there were no fans last year because it would have been 10 times worse. Altuve was miserable. They lose Springer. Altuve was terrible. They're gonna be without Verlander. Greinke's another year older. They have McCullers. They have that kid, Eureka. How do you pronounce his last name, Scott?
I think it's Urquidy, Jose Urquidy.
So the Astros are interesting because they seem to be, I feel like that window is closed, that 2017 to 2019 window where they were World Series contenders and they made 2 World Series and won 1, but with the cheating. I think they're on the way out. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Correa because he's a free agent. And we saw what Tatis got. We're going to see what Lindor's going to get soon. We're going to see what Story or Baez get on the open market next year. You can make the case that, everyone from that core is going to move on other than Bregman and Altuve.
Probably.
Yeah, they're in a weird spot of whether to keep going or to like rebuild and blow it up. Kind of similar spot as the Cubs. Mainly because Correa's hitting the market next year. That he's a big part of their roster. Losing Springer is going to be huge. He was such a staple at the top of their lineup. And then when it came down to it in the postseason, I know Cash wants to knock him, for what happened in 2017, but he's done it in every single postseason. He comes up clutch for them. He's going to be huge for the Blue Jays, and we'll get to that, in a couple of weeks when we do the AL East. Springer's going to be missed, but they're still good. Brantley's good. Bregman's still there. Yordan Alvarez is coming back off of injury. I still think they're going to hit. I don't think Altuve is going to be as bad as he was last year. He's not, the MVP guy that he was. He can still hit. That's what they're going to, they're going to still hit the ball. They're still going to be competitive. But they're in a weird spot moving forwards.
So I'll jump in. I guess I'll continue my my reasoning from the athletics segment, and kind of echo, Scott, what you just said. They're going to hit, and I feel like, you can think what you want about the Astros and the title, and it can be tainted. I agree that it's tainted. They cheated. It is what it is. I don't want to keep screaming it, but Altuve, I feel like that was more of an outlier last year than more of a progression to what he's becoming later in his career. I feel like he's due for a correction, but a positive correction. I agree that Springer is going to be missed. I drafted him on my fantasy team. I think he's going to kill the Yankees in Toronto. I'm not looking forward to it. I really like the way he plays. I'm kind of glad that he's not in Houston anymore because now, I mean, he's still part of a cheating team, but whatever. But back to the Astros, I just feel like you look at this roster. Maldonado's a serviceable catcher. Yuli Gurriel hits. Altuve, Bregman, Correa, Brantley, and then you add the young guys in there. Steven Souza Jr. You have Yordan Alvarez back from injury, like you mentioned.
And Kyle Tucker. He had a breakout year
score.
last year. Yeah, they're gonna hit.
Back to the pitching rotation, I guess. Greinke Odorizzi, Christian Javier, Lance McCullers, and Jose Urquidy, and Framber Valdez. Like that, if they have one or two young guys that step up and really cement themselves as a big leaguer, this is a pretty good team, I would say. And I think better than the Oakland Athletics. So, I mean, I'm not going to tell you who's 1, who's 2, who's 3, who's 4, who's 5 until the very end of this, but there might be another sneaky team up at the top. It's probably not really that hard based off deductive reasoning, but we'll figure it out.
I'm not looking forward to that.
I just think big picture, like big name wise, like Astros obviously have that edge over the A's.
Yeah.
And just talent wise, probably have that edge. I just don't know moving forwards. That's why I think that the A's just have a little bit of edge. Just I feel they're a little more stable than the Astros are.
Yeah, I could get behind that.
I'm not going to really comment much on the Astros. I've harped on it for the last year and a half. What I'm going to say is, and I'm going to ask a question because I don't know the answer. Do you think Correa deserves or will get the money that Tatis or Lindor is going to get?
No.
No, but he's still good.
Mm-hmm.
How old is he?
It's the same age as he's close. Him and Lindor are about the same. Him, Lindor, and Baez are all about the same age. Tatis is younger than all of them.
How old is he?
He's 26.
I don't think is he that good? I mean, he's good.
I mean, yes,
but
he's had some injury, issues with not being on the field, but I think he's kind of So 2018 he played 110 games. 2019 he only played 75 games. Last year he played 58 out of 60. So if he can put together a full year,
big year was in 2017. His one big year in 2017, he had 315.
The year he cheated.
Yeah, 24 home runs, 84 euro. Yeah, the year he cheated. After that, he went down from 315 in 2017 to 239 in 2018, then to 279 to 264. His career average is 276. His career on base is 353, slugging 480, OPS 833. Wonder if I can compare that to let's just do Lindor. If you give me 1 second. Lindor's career OPS is 833, so the same. Slugging 488, on base 346, batting average 285. Very similar numbers.
Lindor's slightly better and has been on the field more, and doesn't have the stain of 2017. I still think Correa is going to get paid. I'd probably put him. I don't know. He's probably 5th on that list of the upcoming shortstop class, or is it 4th? So Lindor, Baez, Story, and Correa. So I'd put Correa as the 4th shortstop on that list. But that's not a knock on him. I just think those 3 guys are better than him. He's still one of the better shortstops in our league. Yeah, I don't know. To answer your question, Cash, I do think he gets paid.
Got it.
Do you think the Astros pay him? Because the Astros haven't paid anyone who's become a free agent on their side. They didn't pay Cole. They didn't pay Springer. They've been losing people. Do you think that they see Correa as a guy that we're going to build around for the next core of guys, or do you think they're going to let him walk
I
and
think
kind of build more towards Bregman?
I think to save the face of their franchise, they need to let him walk. I think they need
it's
to
the opposite.
I think they need to
to
get rid
save
of
his face himself
No.
personally. I think he needs to leave.
I think they need to get rid of everyone who's on the 2017 team. And I'm not just saying that because I've been harping on it. I'm saying it because the reality is they're going to be looked at as cheaters for as long as anyone.
You crapped on Glenn for the complete opposite and flip-flop. You said you don't worry about what other people think. It's about how you are. I forget what the situation was before. But if the Astros are okay internally with what's going on, why do they care what the fans say? Just taking your premise and applying it here.
I'm not saying they care what the fans say, but who's going to want to come play there? What free agent's going to want to go play with a city who's known as cheaters?
So what do the players matter then? That's the thing.
What do the players matter? It's if Correa's on that team, he's a fucking cheater. He cheated. All right? If Altuve's on that team, he's a cheater. And they're going to be known as cheaters until they're not on that team. And if I'm a free agent, I'm not even looking at Houston until there's any remnants of that gone.
It is. They got rid of the manager and the GM that were in charge.
I don't care. All the players still participated.
I mean,
but
that's a lot to ask.
Nothing's going to happen to the players because they were the ones that talked and gave up the manager and the GM.
I'm not saying anything is going to happen to the players. What I'm saying is that if I'm a free agent, right, I'm Trevor Story this year. Why would I want to go and play in Houston?
Well, he's not going there because they already have a shortstop.
That's not my point.
There's no reason why he wouldn't want to go play in Houston because that situation was 4 or 5
If they offer
years
the
ago.
best contract, they're going to go to Houston.
I don't know. I'm not
It's an
sure I agree
attractive
with
city
that,
to
but
be
that's
in.
okay.
It's a nice ballpark to play in. And whether you want to say that the cheating played an impact, they've won recently.
I understand
It was
what
also
you're saying.
it was also 5 years ago.
I understand what you're saying, and I get it. I'm not going to continue to harp on it because we're just not going to agree on this topic. Because my personal opinion is not going to change.
Let's flip the script though. Do you think if you're Carlos Correa and you're looking at your own legacy and your own kind of reputation, do you think maybe you should be saying to yourself, hey, like what Springer did, if I leave and put another jersey on, this might save my own reputation for the next 10 years of my career and hopefully save face.
Yeah, he needs to go out and perform elsewhere without cheating.
He doesn't think that way though.
He doesn't have to.
But he
Do you think
into
Springer
fire.
might think that way? Do you think Springer might have felt that way?
I think he might have because he was quiet throughout the whole thing. He didn't
That I agree with.
talk. Like Correa went out of his way and called out Cody Bellinger after everyone apologized, saying that it happened, and Correa is still denying it like an idiot. And he's calling out Bellinger and he's calling out all these guys saying, oh, you don't know what went on in here. Well, we do because your teammates ratted you out.
I think Correa also went on Twitter when some Fugazi Yankee cheating scandal was people were trying to percolate, and Correa was like,
Sealed
"Oh,
letter?
then they did it," and
The
Correa
sealed
was on
letter.
Twitter going crazy. What was that, Tyler?
The sealed letter.
The sealed letter, yes. And Correa was on Twitter like waving the letter in the air when it ended up being nothing. So Correa has like embraced the role of being the villain. Like that's something I guess he enjoys.
If I'm a free agent, why would I want to go play with that?
If you're a team, why would you want him to leave? Which is why I think he's staying put right in Houston and not going anywhere.
Say that again? Wait, what? Ty?
So under the same premise, if people don't want to go play with him, why would an organization want to pay him millions of dollars if that's truly the sentiment around the league?
Oh, I'm not saying they should. I don't think he should get paid. That's why I asked the question.
But you're saying he should be out of baseball? Pretty much. Because if no one should sign him and no one should play with him, where the heck's the guy playing baseball?
That's not my problem.
Yeah, but you brought the argument up.
All I'm saying is I don't think he deserves the big contract because he cheated.
He's getting paid to play baseball, not for his moral compass inside of his brain.
I don't care about that. But his one great year was the year he knew what pitches was coming. That's no coincidence.
Springer got paid. He was on the team.
Springer was more consistent. And as we just mentioned, he didn't call out anybody else. He was quiet about it. Correa made a mockery of it. Correa made himself more of a villain than he was.
Are they cheaters or are they not? Or are there ranks to being cheaters now?
No, they are. And they all deserve. I'm not defending Springer, but I understand why he got paid. I get it. If I'm a front office, though, I don't even offer Correa a contract. I don't want him in my organization. In my eyes, he's a piece of scum.
So Alex Bregman too?
Is that
Fuck him.
talent? Is that talent wise though, or is it just morals?
Both. When you are building, well, I don't know to answer that question. I don't know because he had a phenomenal season in 2017. Everyone looked at him as the next MVP. He was fantastic. And then he comes out and he plays awfully the last 2 years.
We shouldn't forget what he did in the playoffs last year. He turned it on big time.
Yeah, Correa wasn't terrible last year, and he wasn't terrible in 2019. He was bad in
And
2018.
he does perform in the playoffs. Even if you take 2017 away, he's
That's
still
fine. And
still plays well in
I'm
the
not
playoffs.
denying that. And I'm not saying that he should be kicked out of baseball. I mean, I wouldn't sign him as a general manager, but I'm not saying that he shouldn't sign anywhere, whatever. It's your
I feel like this
personal
might be one of
preference.
the most ridiculous conversations we've ever had on this
Why?
podcast. We're arguing for one of the top players in the league to not get paid, essentially. Well, you are.
Okay.
Because of
Prove
the way
to me
he
I mean, if
reacted
you
do
want
without
to
fucking
not,
cheating.
5 years ago.
if you want to not tender contracts to people who are, maybe a little bit of troublemakers and maybe have questionable kind of antics. I mean, Trevor Bauer just made the most money anyone's ever made ever.
Yeah, and
he's
I
a pain in
also
the
just
ass.
and
There
I
are also
just
people
said he
committing
doesn't deserve it.
domestic violence and coming back into the league and just continuing on. And you're going to give this guy shit for saying,
Well, we
I'll
didn't
the
talk
building
about
code.
that. You think that I think Herman deserves a spot in the team? No, not
No.
any more than Chapman did 4 years ago or now, for whatever that's the case. But we're not
Or
talking
sooner.
about that. We're talking about the fact that he cheated. He took the game and made a mockery of it. And that is a bigger problem to me than anything else. And what's his face? Let it happen.
But you're comparing it to the sentiment around the league. Now, there are players, I guess you could take the Yankees, for example, that are becoming okay with accepting having a person on their team who just went through what he went through in Domingo Herman, and they're accepting it, and they're saying, we need to work through this. That's much worse and much more serious
I
than
don't disagree.
cheating.
I
So
don't disagree at all. But that's
you're
not
saying
my
players are going to
conversation.
like shame Correa for this, but like these are grown men and they move on from things. You might think this guy's an asshole, but it's not going to prevent life decisions and moving around the country.
That's
to
fine.
play where you
I'm
want to
giving
play.
you my personal opinion.
I know, but we do the podcast to debate back and forth. So this is what we're doing.
Right. I get that. And I realize that I'm not going to have the same opinion as the general manager of the Astros. And that's
I
okay.
agree.
Scott, just a quick fact check. We forgot Seager in next year's free agent.
Seager. So
Corey or Kyle?
Correa would be fifth.
Correa's down to 5. So
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So it's gonna be interesting next offseason or this season if they decide to extend Correa. I mean, the Astros haven't been willing to bring people back other than Brantley, who was much cheaper than Springer was going to be, or what Correa is going to be. And it is going to be interesting to see what other franchises he will eventually get paid by someone, but it'll be interesting to see which franchises are willing to take on that personality and everything that comes with it, because he's a very outspoken person like Trevor Bauer was, and there is some baggage to Carlos Correa because, as Catch said, he did cheat in 2017. So we'll see, especially because there's other shortstops that are going to be out there. We'll see how long it takes in free agency in the offseason for Correa to get what he thinks he's worth. So going to be interesting to see what happens there. Let's move to the Los Angeles Angels, because this is always a hot button topic on this podcast, specifically because of the fact that they have the best player in this generation and they never make the playoffs. So the Angels, again, missed the playoffs in a season where everybody made the playoffs. Basically, they don't. Trout's still there. He's approaching 30 if he's not 30 already. So he's at the point where it's closer to the end than the beginning, and he's only made the playoffs one time, and he got swept by the Kansas City Royals in 2014. The Angels continuously do not address what everybody in the world knows is their Achilles heel, and that is the starting pitching. Tyler, I feel like this is the team that you think is going to surprise everyone and make the playoffs. I don't. I just until they address the rotation, and Dylan Bundy's not their best pitcher, I don't see them making the playoffs. But I don't know. It's just a shame that Mike Trout has to continue to go through this.
It is a shame. I completely agree with you. But
at the same time, he signed the contract knowing what this was going to be.
It's true. All right, so let's tackle this rotation real quick. Dylan Bundy, Andrew Haney, Jose Quintana, Griffin Canning, Shohei Ohtani, and Alex Cobb. Now, it's not the best rotation in the league, but it's also not a bad major league rotation if you're going to hit the baseball. They have Iglesias closing, and now we'll run through their team, I guess, their hitters, which are, I mean, for the amount of turnover they have, it's not very impressive, but it has the potential to be. But they just have to fire on all cylinders. I mean, they lost Andrelton Simmons, got Jose Iglesias. They have Max Stassi at catcher, Kurt Suzuki. I don't know who this Jared Walsh is at first base. Scott, do you know?
He mashed
Was he
last year. When he came up last year, went on an absolute tear. So he's going to be a big middle of the lineup bat for them this year. Let's see. He hit 293 with 9 homers and 26 RBIs in 108 plate appearances last year.
That's pretty good.
About half of what Mike Trout got.
Interesting. Pujols still there. David Fletcher hits for average. He's a guy you want in your lineup. I mean, it's a valuable guy to have. Rendon, obviously, you know what you're getting. Iglesias, I mentioned. Justin Upton, Mike Trout, Juan Lagares for defensive stability out there. Dexter Fowler and Shohei Ohtani. So it's not a bad core of your lineup, and you have the best player in baseball. I don't think they're going to win the division. I think they can. I don't really know. I can't put my finger on who can win this division. It's just way too much, and you have teams like the Mariners and the Rangers that we're going to get to that are just going to be essentially free wins, or at least 75% of the games that you're going to play against them, 60% of the games, I don't know, somewhere around there. You're going to win more than half against those teams. I just feel like it's got to happen eventually. And they have Iglesias, who is a very, very good closer. So he's going to win them ball games in the back end of that bullpen. And yeah, I can't really argue because there's no history or success to back it up on. But I just think it's going to happen one of these times. And they're making steps, but they're just not moving quick enough. And it's the way it is.
Yeah, I do agree with Ty that they have the ability to do it. Obviously, we're watching Mike Trout, who's going to go down as maybe the best player to ever play this game.
I didn't say Joe Adele either, by the way.
Yeah, Joe Adele, if he can put it together and hit, he could be huge for them because he's great defensively. He's got speed. If he can hit, he'll be playing a factor. Rendon's a great player. Pujols obviously at the end of his career, but he's still able to do something. Justin Upton can still hit. I do think they're going to miss Andrelton Simmons, but Jose Iglesias is a great defensive shortstop as well. His bat's a little bit less than Simmons, but I don't know. I do see where they can do it.
Yeah.
The starting rotation obviously is the weakest part of that team. But like Jose Quintana is going to eat innings. He's going to be there. Dylan Bundy had a good year last year. Andrew Heaney started to come on at the end of last year. Alex Cobb will eat innings. I mean, Glenn clearly wasn't, blown away by the signing of Alex Cobb. But he'll eat innings for you. And I do like the pickup of Raisel Iglesias at the back end as well. And you know what? We've all knocked Ohtani. Glenn, Ty, you both took a version of Ohtani in our fantasy baseball draft on Sunday. He's been hitting the cover off the baseball in spring training, and he's pitched pretty well as well. So if he can stay healthy and do what we all thought he could do, that's going to be, a huge X factor as well. I root for him because I love Mike Trout. So we all want him in the postseason. So maybe it's the year.
I think that's the key. I think Ohtani's the key because you're going to have that fierce bat in the lineup, we've been told. And then on even probably more importantly with Ohtani is the pitching side. Can he be this ace that people thought that he was going to be? Because if he is, then, the problem's solved. The Angels have their ace. If not, then we're right back to where we started. And I'm going to disagree with Scott a little bit. If you're the Angels and you're looking to make the playoffs, you can't just be satisfied with getting guys that are, just going to quote unquote eat innings. You need guys that are going to pitch to a low ERA, go out there, give you 7 innings, 2 runs baseball, and give your team a chance to win every single time you're out there every 5th day. You can't just have a guy go out there and they're going to pitch 6-7 innings, but also give up 5. Like, that's not good enough for me when it comes to a team that wants to make the playoffs.
I think you're going to be surprised this year with the how low these guys' ERAs are, especially in a weakish hitting division where the A's are going to struggle to put up runs. I mean, maybe about half the time. Like, they're pretty spotty with their lineup. We talked about it enough. And with the Rangers and the Mariners, who just aren't very good baseball teams, like, I feel like they're going to have opportunities to show why they're professionals and they can get professionals out. I'm not saying they're going to go up against their own teammate, Mike Trout, and dominate him, but I mean, they're serviceable.
It looks like right now, I'm just looking at their depth chart real quick, Cash. Right now on their starting rotation, they do have 6 guys on there. So I don't know if that's something that they're considering, is pulling out the 6-man rotation to limit Ohtani's innings at the start of the year. So I don't know if that's going to be a factor for them. And I see where Glenn's saying with you don't want just guys that are going to eat innings. But if they can address that at the deadline at some point, maybe it might help them out. Go ahead, Cash.
No, I mean, I think that, Glenn, I think you're being a little harsh on the Angels because, you have to remember that starting pitching is not as valuable now as it was. I mean, you could look at the Rays. You could look at, teams who really use their bullpen more than starting pitching.
We're talking about the Angels. Do the Angels do that?
Well, I don't know if they're going to change direction. I don't.
Yeah, but they don't do it. So why are we assuming?
I'm not assuming anything. I'm just saying that you can't.
But their starting pitching is valuable because they don't play that game. They don't bullpen.
They
like
obviously
the
have faith in their starting pitching because they're not going out and paying Rendon and continuously throwing money at Trout just to not make the playoffs. They obviously see something in the squad that they have, especially with such a weak division around them. There's something that they see in the 6 starting pitchers that they have that they think that they can make a run in the playoffs. I don't think they're just throwing in the towel. I think that if they really thought they needed a pitcher, they would go out and get Bauer, in my opinion. Because like I said, they're not just throwing money around to lose.
Yeah, that's a fair point. We haven't seen results though.
They've just never done enough. They've done something. They've just never done enough to put them to that next level, to be the best team in this division, because it's open for the taking every year. Like it's not consistent who's gonna win.
Who was the last ace of the Angels? Weaver 10 years ago?
Yeah, Jared Weaver.
I mean,
Bartolo Colon before that.
Yeah, they've been playing this game since Weaver left. Let's say 2015, right? So 16, 17, 18, 19. That's 5 years. They've been playing this game with the same kind of caliber of pitchers, just trying to slug themselves to the playoffs, and it hasn't worked. At some point, you got to adjust and say, hey, maybe we should make the extra expenditure for a guy that's going to put us over the top, that next echelon of pitcher. And they just haven't done it. And they're a Los Angeles team. They're in Anaheim, but they're a quote-unquote Los Angeles team. So they have the money to do it if they wanted to. They've thrown all that money at Pujols and Rendon and Trout and all these guys. Hamilton. Why not get an ace? Why? They've been out there. They were after Cole. They were after Strasburg. They struck out on both. You got to keep trying. And eventually you're just going to have to bite the bullet and really overpay for one if you want to get Mike Trout in the playoffs before he's 35 and before he starts to decline. That's just my opinion.
I think their window, if it's not now, it's going to be.
Also, their farm system is terrible. They have the worst farm system, and they've had the worst farm system for a while.
Yeah, I'm looking at their list of prospects right now, and it is. There's one name that I really know in Brandon Marsh, and he's another outfielder. So something that they don't really need. Yeah, they as I said before, they never do enough to put them to that next level. And it sucks because we're gonna waste Trout's career. We said it 1,000 times. We're gonna waste his career, out there in Anaheim because it's a nice stadium. They should be able to attract more, but they don't.
And Trout's too good of a guy to cause problems and be unhappy towards the front office. And Cash talked about loyalty when we talked about Billy Bean, but I feel like there's a point for an athlete when you don't need to be loyal to a team that's not loyal back to you. Loyalty is a two-way street. I know they gave him almost $1 billion, it seems, but if you're not going to put the team around him, Trout has to be ticked off behind the scenes. He'll never say it, but he can't be happy that he never goes to the playoffs.
I'm sure it's some sort of a collaborative effort. I mean, his input's got to be at least a conversation or a couple conversations of like, what direction should we go? I'm sure he's involved on these meetings, and like you said, he's never going to take it public, but I mean, we will never know if he's expressed displeasure with the front office behind the scenes or whatnot. But I got to imagine, I'm on your side there. Like I got to imagine he's upset.
Cash, you got any last word on the Angels?
Well, I think that they're going to be better than you think. That's what I think.
Okay, that's fine to think that. I think they can be around the 83 win marker. I don't think that's
And when
good
I
enough
say
for a
you, I
playoff,
don't
but-
mean you. I mean you in general.
Okay.
Well, I also mean you, but I really mean
Okay.
you in general.
You normally, whenever you speak, you normally mean me, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go to the bottom of the division. We'll start with the Mariners. Since the Browns have made the playoffs recently, and the Bills, they're the organization in sports that hasn't made the playoffs in 20 years. They're the laughing stock of sports because 2001 was the last time they made the playoffs. I think they went 116 wins that year, beat the Yankees' 1998 record, and then they lost the Yankees in that ALCS, and they haven't been to the playoffs since. Now you look at their roster. Kyle Lewis is a name that jumps off for me. Nobody else really does either. They brought back James Paxton. They have Justice Sheffield, who they got in the Paxton trade with the Yankees, and Kyle Seager. But this team just lacks talent at this point, and they're very young. And who knows? Maybe in 5 years they're the team of the AL West because it's not a great division right now. But in 2021, it seems like it's just going to be another lost year in Seattle.
Not so fast.
Oh,
my
really?
friend.
Okay.
These are my guys. This is the team that I'm rooting
Oh, and
for.
Kalenic. I forgot Kalenic. I'm sorry.
These are my guys. I'm rooting for them this year. Kyle Lewis was phenomenal last year. He wasn't talked about enough. Deservingly won the Rookie of the Year. Plays a phenomenal defense out in center field. Evan White at first base is going to be good. J.P. Crawford, former failed Philly, won Gold Glove at shortstop, doesn't hit a lot yet. Kyle Seager's still there. They're young, yes, but I think they can, have some fun and play with no pressure. I might be a little biased as well as my high school teammate as their assistant hitting coach. So he's literally the same exact age as all these guys on the team. I don't know. I just think they can be fun and like be under the radar.
Things can get a little silly.
Yes, things can
Okay.
get weird out there in Seattle. So I'm rooting for them. I want them to be good. I don't think they're going to be, pushing for the playoffs. I think they could, or pushing for the division. Maybe they could sneak around and, back their way into a wild card spot. It would be tough. But these are my guys. I'm rooting for them. I hope that they're good. I hope this doesn't come back to, bite me in the butt, but I'm rooting for the Mariners. So
Mariners are going to make a wild run and beat the Phillies in the World Series.
you know what? That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because that means the Phillies had a good year. So I wouldn't hate that. I don't know. There's no names there. There's nothing on that team that says, hey, I'm here to, win MVP. But as I said, they're my guys. I don't know if anyone else agrees with me at all.
See where you're coming from for sure. I think their rotation is better than the Angels rotation, if that's any consolation. I just think where they lack is the uncertainty in the lineup. I mean, aside, like we mentioned it already, Kyle Lewis and Mitch Haniger are really the only two names that jump out that I really even recognize for their major league relevance. Kyle Seager, but that's pretty much it. But Marco Gonzalez, James Paxton, while somewhat healthy, Justice Sheffield, Yusei Kikuchi. Those are 4 guys that are going to give you innings, and Gonzalez has been pretty good, and Paxton has the possibility to be good. So you never really know in Seattle.
Well, Sheffield's going to have to make a major jump because he had a 5.68 ERA last year in 5 starts, 12 games. He went back and forth from the bullpen to the rotation. Paxton,
he's less than a year older than us, so I'll give him a benefit of the doubt.
Paxton, we got to see if that velocity's back. Remember when he was healthy last year, or when he was playing with the Yankees last year, as my laptop's about to die. Give me 1 second. His velocity was at like 92, 93, and this is a guy that, in 2019 was at 98. So we'll see if his velocity comes back. Who else do we got here? Gonzalez he's solid, 3.89.
He's boring though, okay?
Who, Gonzalez?
Not my words.
Yeah, that's what their former president said.
He who shall not be named.
Oh, yes, that's right. Flexen they have in this depth chart.
Former Met, I
26
believe.
years old.
Yeah.
He only had 2 starts in 8 games. He had a 2.92. We'll see what happens there. Again, just extremely young. And I think that could be a positive. It's not like they're a team that's just bad. They're bad, I guess, with a purpose of developing and getting better for the future. So this is a team I feel like is on the rise. I just don't think they're there yet.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fair. I'm just being optimistic. I hope like Jared Kelenic comes up and makes a huge impact, which he probably should. And Taylor Trammell, who they got last year, another young outfielder, could make an impact. There's a lot of potential there long term. That's why I'm excited about them. But yeah, there's still a lot to be desired there in Seattle.
Cash, the floor is yours.
I think they stink. I'm not going to harp on it. Unfortunately, they're very young and they're just not going to be very good. Scott, I hope you prove me wrong, but
I hope they prove me wrong as well, or prove me right, I guess.
No, I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant. It's all right.
All right, let's wrap up this division with the Texas Rangers. Rangers hosted the World Series last year. The problem was that they were not in the World Series last year. That they had the stadium was used. That's something that they have going for them, that they hosted the World Series last year. I'm looking at the roster right now. Who do you guys hang your hat on if you're a Ranger fan?
Joey Gallo.
Who's like your guy?
Joey Gallo.
How long is he going to stay though?
That's the big question. I love him though. I think he's phenomenal. But yeah, he's been in a lot of trade rumors, so who knows how long he's going to be there? But he's got to be the guy, right?
He just can't put on the pinstripes ever.
It
would make me so angry.
Odor can't hit 200 for as exciting as he can be at times to watch.
David Dahl, I wished he would have shown more in Colorado. He was good, very quick, left-handed guy, center fielder, good glove, but that's what you get when you have Charlie Blackmon over there.
I was thinking of someone.
I
was thinking of someone completely different. Odor hit 314 last year, so that's on my.
Yeah, but he has been struggling. Like ever since he got into a little scuffle with Jose Bautista, he's been on the decline, I would say.
He also hasn't played in a lot of games. He played in 17 games in 2019, 14 games in 2020. He played in 21 games in 2018.
Are you looking at MLB.com? I think their stats are messed up.
Yeah, that's not right.
I am looking at MLB.com, and they're very weird today.
Yeah.
Forget everything I just said.
Are you looking at their spring training stats? Because that's what they prioritize right now, which is annoying.
Yeah.
Well, last week when we were talking,
why they just fucked me up all.
When we were
said
talking
some random
last
person, I
week,
forget who it was. Wait, sorry, Cash. You were talking very low. I didn't realize.
All I was saying was when I was saying stats last week about like Talon, and some other people, I was looking at MLB.com and the stats were just very incorrect. There's something wrong with the website.
Yeah.
So my credibility for today's episode is completely gone because I've been giving those stats all show. So, Tyler, if you don't want to post this episode, that's totally fine. No,
Glenn, the headline would most definitely say in 2021, Glenn produces fake stats for BASEHITBALL4. But if you would read the article, you would get the color behind it that Clearly, the website's a little messed up, so we'll cut you a break today.
Yeah.
So
So we just
Glenn
got to
is
make sure
fake
the person
news.
writing that you just got to make sure the person writing the headline is fair and isn't out to get me.
I would agree.
So it is what it is. But the Rangers.
Who's your guy? You never got to it.
I don't have a guy. I guess it's Joey Gallo, Chris Davis. I guess. Hey, let me ask this question instead. In comparison to the Rangers and Mariners, both on the same kind of level, the Mariners have a much brighter future than the Rangers do at this point.
Absolutely. I don't see any direction for this Rangers roster.
What's their farm system look like? Do you have their farm system up?
Let's see. Third baseman and Josh Young, who's in Double A right now. He's highly regarded. Dane Dunning, starting pitcher, who pitched at the end of last season for the White Sox, was traded for Lance Lynn, and Leotis Tavares out in the outfield as well.
He played last year, right?
Yeah, he played a little bit at the end of last year as well. But no big names really. Kind of similar to the Angels. Not a lot of excitement around this farm system. Yeah, they're in a weird spot because 2 years ago when Rendon was a free agent, I know they were big in on him because he's from Texas. They wanted to make a splash for their new stadium. But I kind of feel like they need a reset. They didn't do a good job after the World Series runs of kind of resetting, and now they're kind of in just a spot of no man's land. If I were to take a roster, I'd clearly take the Mariners roster over theirs. The only player I would want only player I would want is Joey Gallo.
Did you mention, Scott, that Acuna's brother is in their farm system?
Is he?
He is. He is their number 8th ranked prospect in rookie ball. I'm sure he's ranked number 8
okay.
because of his last name.
Luis Angel.
Ronald Acuna is a stud. Just had to throw. I'm a huge Ronald Acuna fan. I don't know if you guys knew that, but
Yeah, I glanced right over that. He looks like he's a shortstop second baseman. He's only 19 years old, so he's not quite there yet, but maybe maybe he'll make a quick rise like Ronald did.
Ronnie
Got the DNA.
Yeah. So Rangers, a lot of baseball teams this year just seem like they're bad and also bad without direction, and I feel like the Rangers are approaching that level. So we'll see what happens there. Let's do some final standings before we get into some miscellaneous spring training talk. Tyler, I feel like you're going to shock me here.
I don't really know what I'm going to say. That's going to be the problem.
I feel like you have a surprise for us with your division prediction.
I mean, it's definitely not going to be conventional, but it's definitely I don't know. There's not a lot of thought into this. It's just kind of what feels correct at the moment right now. And I'm going to go Astros, Athletics, Angels, Mariners, Rangers.
Okay. Scott, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I'm giving it to the Angels. The Angels are going to win it.
Wow.
I'm going
You
to
have
give
bigger balls than I.
I wish we were if we were at WMCX right now, I'd press that hotkey with a triple one.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm giving it to him. This is the year. Mike Trout's going to carry the team. Otani's going to have a good year. Oakland in second. Let's put Seattle in third. Put some money where my mouth is. We're going to put Seattle in third. The Astros are going to come in fourth, and Texas in last.
Wow. How bad for the Astros? How under 500 are they going to be?
Let's see. Well,
what does our good friend Pacoda say?
Pacoda has them at 91.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I'm saying in this ideal situation, the Mariners are right around 500. So I don't think the Astros would be much worse than that. So I'd put in my scenario here, Astros are a 500 team.
I'm gonna go Oakland, Houston, Los Angeles, Seattle, Texas. I feel like that's kind of what I guess the majority would say. So I'm gonna side with them, but I think Oakland's gonna run it back. I think they're gonna make the playoffs, and then like the Twins would normally do if they made the playoffs, they're gonna bounce out early. I think Houston, just by name alone and how they still have some of the guys that they had in their glory days. I think that'll get them to second. And then I think, Los Angeles, I think they're going to struggle pitching again. And then obviously we talked about Seattle and Texas. So I think that's where I'm going to go with that.
Cash, you're up.
All right. Scott, I'm going to agree with you. I got the Angels winning. I have the Athletics coming in second, the Mariners in third, and then the Rangers.
The Astros aren't
Another
going to play.
team.
Yeah, they're in there somewhere. I'll put them last.
Banish them. I feel like you
I
put them
love
in
this.
last year as well.
I did.
I love this shtick that you have with the Astros. I think it's so funny.
I mean, it's not a shtick. I
Oh.
truly have hatred in my heart for them, so that's okay.
Who do you hate more, the Astros or the Brewers?
The Astros,
Okay.
and it's not even close.
Who do you hate more, the Astros or me?
That's close. That is close.
That's class.
But you have, to my knowledge, you haven't cheated, so I'm gonna give it to the Astros.
Oh, you don't know that. You don't know that.
That's why I said to my
Um,
knowledge, you haven't cheated. So
To your knowledge. All right. I'll make sure you don't find out if and
You
when. I do
definitely
cheat.
cheated in arcades when you were little, Glenn. Like you ran around and tried. You tied a coin to the string and you put it in the machines and you pulled it back out
No,
and got your
I
prize.
didn't do that. I would lose. I'd punch the machine and get kicked out of the arcade.
There you
That's
go.
what I
Set
would
the alarm off. It's
That
like
actually
Planet
happened
Fitness for
once.
kids.
That happened once. I punched. The Stackers game.
I used
got
to
to
love
the-
that game.
I
It's
got to
rigged.
the ends at the major award, and I lost by like one slot.
and you threw a fucking temper tantrum.
No, I
didn't you?
jabbed the glass case that the game's in, and one of the attendants was like, "You got to go." I was like 9.
Go.
It is what it is. Jacob deGrom's in midseason form already. It's pretty stupid what he is able to do. This is a guy who, when that whole Mets pitching rotation all came up at the same time, I'm talking about Harvey and Syndergaard and Wheeler and Matz, he wasn't the top guy. It was Harvey. I think I remember Syndergaard was after Harvey. Wheeler was a big guy because he came in the Beltran trade to San Francisco. DeGrom was this converted shortstop who came up just because they needed a starter against the Yankees. I remember his first game was against the Yankees. Chase Whitley also made his major league debut, pitched for the Yankees. The Yankees actually won that game, and DeGrom got the loss. But he was a converted shortstop. He was never a top prospect, and he's become the best pitcher we've seen in probably 20 years. It's crazy. And if you watch him in spring training, 101 miles an hour already, 94 mile an hour sliders. If you make contact against him and put the ball in play and hit the ball hard, that's a miracle in and of itself. I don't know how people score on him.
Yeah, I had this same conversation with my buddy Dan earlier today, and it's disgusting what he's doing. His mechanics are just flawless. It's so smooth and easy. Like someone his size shouldn't be throwing that hard because he's taller, but he's skinny, and like there just doesn't look like there would be a lot of power coming from him. And he's just throwing 100 miles an hour with ease. As you mentioned, 94 mile an hour sliders, 90 mile an hour changeups. It's gross. And I said the same thing. DeGrom was like the third or fourth pitcher, in 2015, 2014. Like we weren't talking about DeGrom, and now he's incredible. Like I don't really know what else to say about him other than that he's incredible.
Tyler.
Yeah, Echo. Yeah, he's good. He's a good pitcher.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's not much else to say. I'm a big Mets hater, and I try to hate on everything Mets, but I can't. The guy's filthy.
Yeah, you can't hate on him as much as we all want to. It pains me to say it. Like it really does.
He's so good.
I mean, we're all four of us are in the two fan bases that probably hate the Mets the most out of any other fan base in baseball. But, if it's DeGrom day and he's on SNY, you're going to watch that game. Even if you hate the Mets and hate everything about the Mets and you hate watching them, you're going to watch DeGrom pitch because, it's that kind of special event that's happening that night. And, pitchers like him don't come around a lot.
No.
especially right-handers. I mean, there's a ton of great lefties out there. Kershaw in his prime, but someone from the right side to do what he does, like kind of like what Clemens did back in his era.
Another cheater.
Yeah, I would even put him as like that peak Pedro Martinez, right?
Yeah.
Like late 90s, early 2000s Pedro. Do you guys think DeGrom's going to be a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think he has 2 Cy Youngs. It wouldn't surprise me if he got 2 more before he ended it.
Like he's already 32. He's going to be 33. So like, I think that might affect him a little bit, but like, and like wins over the last couple of years have lost a lot of value. He's only got 70 wins, mainly because the Mets don't know how to hit when he pitches.
Mhm.
I think you have to look at it the other way. The fact that he has 70 wins is remarkable.
And you could make that argument, but it's the 2 Cy Youngs that put him over the top.
I think if he retired today, he would be a Hall of Famer.
You're probably right. He should be. I was just because he came up at a later age. He didn't, break it into the big leagues until he was 26. So he got a little bit of a later start, but it's just disgusting. And it is a joy to watch him.
His ERA in his career from 2014 to now, it went 2.69, 2.54, 3.04, 3.53, 1.70, 2.43, 2.38. So his worst ERA is 2017 at 3.5. That's
And
a
in
lot
that
of
year-
guys. A lot of guys, their best year is a 3.5.
That was 2017.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many times did he pitch against the Astros?
Huh.
I don't know.
Did he miss a year with Tommy John or no? He didn't.
No, he might have
No.
had. He might have had it when he was in the minors, but
That's probably what it was.
he's been healthy since he's been in. He's got a couple back injuries, but
He's been in the league 7 years. He has top 10 Cy Young voting in 5 of them. I think if he
Pretty
goes another
impressive.
3 years the way he's been going, I think that gets him in the Hall of Fame.
Cash
should.
did not face Houston in 2017.
It was more of a joke question, but I appreciate the answer.
You're welcome.
I was going to say before that year that he had the 3.53, he had the most wins.
So
out of
yeah,
any season.
DeGrom,
Okay.
amazing.
Glenn's on input lag again.
Yeah.
Tyler, finish your point.
I finished it already.
Oh, you did? Okay, great. Okay, let's move on. Great. All right. So let's talk about the Yankees for a second. Okay, so I think one of the competitions for the Yankees is their final couple of bench spots. So Higashioka's getting one, Gardner's getting one. That leaves the last 2 bench spots to 2 of Dietrich, Bruce, Wade, and Talkman. Who do you guys want to see as those 2 last guys on the bench?
Does Dietrich play the infield?
Yeah,
Yes, he
he's an
plays
infielder.
first base and third base
He can
And
play
the
second.
outfield,
He
right?
can play second as
and the
well.
outfield.
I mean, that's pretty valuable. However, Wade's a lefty.
So is
And he's
Dietrich.
fast.
You're right. He is a lefty.
Bruce
And
is also
Bruce.
lefty.
Well, Bruce is outfield. I wasn't.
Every single one of
Counting
those
that.
are lefties, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all lefties.
I love Tyler Wade.
I agree.
I think he adds that speed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I would take Wade and Dietrich.
Have you seen Jay Bruce play? It's got to be Jay Bruce and Dietrich for me. I mean, Bruce is a major leaguer. He, for the same reason that Brett Gardner deserves a spot on MLB roster, Jay Bruce does as well. Maybe not. I mean, there's no heart-to-heart connection there with the Yankees and Jay Bruce, but I don't know. And Derek Dietrich, when he was with the Reds, that 3-homer performance or whatever home run tear he went on was enough to show me that that guy can swing a bat in the major leagues. So put him in there. Talkman doesn't do it for me. Wade can't swat a fly if they gave him a fly swatter. And Mike Ford, we just don't need him. I'm sorry. We just don't.
Oh, I forgot Mike Ford. Thank you. How many home run hitters is this team going to carry? Like, I feel like Wade, first of all, he's a shortstop, and the Yankees don't have a backup shortstop. Their backup shortstop without Wade would be Urshela, who doesn't play shortstop a lot. Played shortstop today against
He
Detroit.
looked good.
But he looked good. But ideally, he's your starting third baseman. So if Glaber takes a day off, now you're making third base worse by putting Urshela at short. You're going to make shortstop worse because Urshela is not naturally a shortstop. So you're just juggling around the infield instead of just putting Wade there and leaving it all alone. Wade just brings something different. And You're gonna be able to pinch run for him, defensive replacement. I just feel like you don't need every single guy on your 25-man roster to be able to hit 30 home runs. And I think Wade offers something
Thank
that's
you.
different that the Yankees need.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think
I think Wade gets a spot. And I think Glenn's delayed again. Jay Bruce is hitting 300 and Derek Dietrich is hitting 067 this spring. So
Yeah, but he's got great muscles.
great. So did Dan Ugla.
Dan Uggla's good though.
He stunk. He hit like 180 for his career.
Did he really?
I don't know. That's
He
an
might have had one
exaggeration.
good year on the Indians.
There's no shot. He made it
Um,
into a video game, okay? A backyard video game.
Jay Bruce is going to make that team. He's a professional. He puts together good at bats. Dare I say, good clubhouse guy. So I'm giving those 2 spots to Jay Bruce and Tyler Wade if it was up to me, but it's not because the Yankees don't acknowledge my presence, mainly because I'm not a fan.
They don't acknowledge our presence.
Yeah, we
either,
are.
doesn't
Well,
matter.
doesn't help.
you guys are way too overspoken. You've spewed a lot of hate towards them, so you're on the
hate's
shit.
not the right word. Hate
You're
is
on-
not the right word.
You're on
Maybe
the
for
shit,
Glenn. For Glenn, it's the right word. But
you're on the shit list.
I don't think that's fair.
I'm still on the nice list for the Yankees. So maybe they should listen to me.
Any Yankee
Dan-
fan that has all good, nice things to say about
isn't
the
a
team,
real Yankee fan.
there you go. Thank you, Cash.
I'm the same way with the Phillies.
Dan
Yeah,
Ugla
I
wasn't terrible.
He wasn't terrible. I don't know what Scott is saying. 180 average for his
Dan
career.
Ugla, he,
stunk.
he made 3 All-Star teams.
Yeah,
He
and
hit 282 in 2006, 260 in 2008. Just after 2011, it just fell apart for him.
yeah, and do you guys remember the All-Star game at Yankee Stadium where it went on forever and forever? The
Yes.
fans were cheering for the American League to hit the ball to Ugla because he couldn't make a play defensively. The fans were cheering for him to fail.
I don't remember that.
He stunk. He made like 4 errors in that game, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I just watched him a lot because he played for the Marlins, and I just feel like he never hit. He just hit home runs or he struck out. So I think he stinks.
Like what was it? Like Adam Dunn, right-handed Adam Dunn.
I think Adam Dunn was better.
A little bit.
Who knows? What's going on in Phillies land?
You know, they got their shit kicked in by the Blue Jays today, but you know, it's spring training.
What's that 5th starter spot look like?
Oh, it's gonna go to Matt Moore and Chase Anderson most likely. Matt
God.
Moore's looked really good coming back from Japan.
So many old Tampa Bay Rays just pop up out of nowhere for me.
Yeah,
He's one of them.
He's looked really, really good. Chase Anderson's looked really good as well. Spencer Howard is their top pitching prospect, is still fighting for that 5th spot. It's really, I said it last week, it's coming down to the center field battle of Odubel Herrera, Mickey Moniak, Scott Kingery, Roman Quinn, Adam Hazley. We got 5 guys battling for center field. It's going to get messy towards opening day, especially if Odubel Herrera continues to hit the cover off the baseball like he has. Because there's a lot of people that don't like him and don't want him for the same reason. You know, Herman is getting flack for the Yankees. I think Odubel is going to make the team. And
Yeah.
I might get hate for it, but I would be okay with it if he's on the roster for baseball purposes.
These guys are assets, and if they're gonna perform and help a team win a World Series, then they're gonna deal with any off the field kind of issues that they have. Not
Look at the
just
Kansas
what we've
City
been
Chiefs.
not just what we're talking about with these 2 specific guys, but really anything. If they do anything, if they can hit, if they can field, if they can throw, they'll find a spot. So that's just the world we live in at this point. Off the field news: LeBron buys stock in the Red Sox. I don't like LeBron James. I didn't need more of a reason to not like LeBron James, but here we are. I don't know what the end game is. I doubt he'll ever have majority control of the Boston Red Sox, but
Can I
you
explain
know,
it?
it's news because it's LeBron James. And the guy's just a fraud because he wears a Yankee hat to an Indians-Yankees playoff game in Cleveland, and then he roots for the Dodgers when he's in Laker, and he rooted for the Indians when he came back to Cleveland the second time, and now he's buying stock in the Red Sox. Big fraud energy from LeBron James. I know Cashman's a big fan, but not my guy.
I'm not a LeBron fan. I'm a Laker fan who wants to watch the Lakers win. I am not a LeBron fan. And now I'm going to go off of what you just said. Yeah, he was a Yankee fan. The dude's got billions of dollars. If he has an opportunity to buy stock or buy a percentage of a Major League Baseball team, and that's what he wants to do, then if the Red Sox are the only ones available, then fine. Major League Baseball teams just don't go up for sale very often. So if that's what he wants to do, then that's what he wants to do.
All right.
But
before we get way too far away from this, I'd like to just reel you guys back in and explain that this was not a conscious decision on LeBron James's part to become an owner of the Boston Red Sox. So I don't want to get these groups mixed up, so I'm going to read it. But he originally invested in Liverpool through Fenway Sports Group, I believe, and that stake has increased, now making him a partner of Fenway Sports Group, which also now, because he's a partner, gets ownership of the Red Sox because of that, or he's technically considered it.
Okay.
But he didn't just say, hey, I'm going to go purchase part of the Red Sox and just move on. It was just kind of like hey, this is kind of cool that this is now the case because he's a partner of Fenway Sports Group.
I don't know. I just don't like him. And you know what?
I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
I'll go a step further. Space Jam 2 looks terrible.
I'm so upset by it.
It looks horrible. And I hate him for it. I'm going to blame him for it. Not the cinematography, not the editor, not the director or producer. It's LeBron's fault that Space Jam 2 is going to ruin everything for me. Just bad job.
Yeah, good for him.
Thoughts?
Diversifying. Good for him. He's got the money.
Pretty wild.
Cash made his peace.
I don't care.
Do we have any final thoughts before we send it away for another week?
No.
I ask every week and you guys never do. One day I'm just going to stop asking and you guys are going to have something.
I got great enjoyment out of Darren O'Day drilling that guy in the nuts on a strikeout.
And then
that was great. So if we were doing winners and losers of the week, Darren O'Day would be my winner and Tony Walters would be my loser because he was the one that got hit and struck out.
I have a winner. John Sterling's my winner. Stepped into the yes booth on Monday. Good for him. I think John Sterling should narrate everything. He should be the announcer for everything.
John Sterling and Morgan Freeman tag teaming.
I would die for John Sterling. I think anyone who doesn't like him should kick rocks. Scott, what are your thoughts as someone who's not a Yankee fan and doesn't have Yankee colored glasses on when it comes to John Sterling?
So I have limited experience with him. The one that stands out to me the most was the Yankees Twins wild card game when Severino got rocked at the beginning of the game. I remember I was in the car. I was driving around at Monmouth. I was listening to that game. Yeah, he's good. It sounds like he's a legend. I'm not I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Susan. She kind of bored me.
She's fine. She's great too.
But yeah, John Sterling's a legend. My dad always used to impersonate his Yankees win little thing when at the end of the game. Those are my memories of John Sterling.
Right. Gotta love John. All right. Is that it? Am I wrapping it up now? You guys aren't going to interrupt my intro.
I'm going to Vegas. I got to pack, so we got to wrap this up.
That's fun.
That's my final thought.
When are you flying out?
5:00 tomorrow.
Oh my!
PM.
In the morning?
No, PM. I'm going to work, but I still have to pack because I'm going to work. So.
All right. Well, make good decisions out there in Vegas.
I'm playing baseball. We can
relate
it full circle.
Are you watching The Hangover tonight?
Tonight?
Yeah, tonight.
I might go live The Hangover.
Oh, I would love that.
It's going to be the opposite of The Hangover. It's going to be a very wholesome Vegas trip. Sorry.
You did it. It had to happen.
Yeah.
That will just about do it for this episode of Base Hit Ball 4. For Tyler Blumenstick, Alex Cashman, Scott Roswell. My name is Glenn Denegris. Next week, we got the AL Central. So stick around for that, and we'll see you when that happens.